where people have never been more self-obsessed, more self-absorbed. Social media plays a huge role in that. And so people are kind of locked into their own little world. You may not realize this, but I think that the source of most of the pain that people feel in their life, the source of most of their failures in life, why they hit a wall, why they can't get any further in life, is because they don't understand people. They don't understand what motivates. They can't get inside the mind of the other person. They're always thinking of themselves. And because of that, they don't have the ability to persuade or influence people to get them to move in the direction they want, but also a lack of self-awareness. As you were pointing out in the beginning, everyone thinks it's the other person that's narcissistic or is repressed or is short-sighted. Not me, no. So a lack of a self-awareness and the lack of what really motivates people. And I encounter it all the time. So I'm always shocked at how people don't have a sense of the psychology of the people they're dealing with. They don't know how to judge people's character. They're basing their opinions of people on their appearance, whether someone's charming or good looking or articulate, and they're not looking behind the mask. I think humans are actors. From the age of 2 years old, 3 years old, we learned how to manipulate our parents by crying when we needed to cry, being charming, saying certain things. We learn how to act. And when we grow up, I have earlier in that chapter, I make the point, if you met a person that said exactly what he felt every time, you would hate that person. He would never have any friends. So let's be honest about this. We're all acting. When we're in the office, we're not telling our boss exactly what we think about his stupid ideas or what he's wearing or his clothes or etc. We say what we think is appropriate for that situation. And I want to bring some honesty into that and say, stop fighting that need to be an actor. In fact, what you want to be is you want to be a better actor. You want to be good at this. But being a social animal, which is what we are, means that you have to mold what you say and how you act to the situation that you're in. You can't just simply blurt out what you feel. That's being an animal. That's not being a human being. I see 1,000 times in business situations, the number one sin that people make mistakes in negotiations or in meeting, is they talk too much. They say things that they shouldn't have said. They reveal things about themselves that they shouldn't. You need to have more self-control. You need to be better at wearing that mask. And you need to enjoy the sense of being a good actor and playing a role. Some of the best people who are the most successful are really good at playing a role. So as I said, we're increasingly self-absorbed. We're always thinking about ourselves. Do people like me? Did I say the right thing? Am I being respected? And I want to flip the scenario. I want you to look and think about the other person, what they need, what they're thinking, their psychology, their background, their problems. And starting from that position, you have the ability to influence them. And that may lead into some of this acting ability where you know how to present the proper front for them. But I'm saying to be a social animal and to be able to get along with people, sometimes you need to be honest. I don't think you should be dishonest with your wife and your children. Those are personal situations. I'm talking out in the business world. I'm sure when you're addressing your thousands of employees, you're playing a role. You're wearing a mask. You're showing them a kind of persona that's going to impress them. You're being a leader. Being a leader means being assertive, being strong, talking in a certain tone of voice, carrying yourself in a certain way. You're an actor. And the better you are in front of a crowd in doing that, the more people will think of you as a person of authority. Now, some people are truly toxic, and we've all encountered them in our life. They're no good. They can ruin your life. They're selfish, whatever it is. And my book is full of stories of those types. Now, when you're with them, you need to be able to suss them out. You need to be able to see the signs that you're dealing with a toxic person. So I'm telling you to be aware in the moment that every person you deal with in life is different, is an individual. The more I know about your unique background, about what makes you who you are, the better I'm able to deal with you. It doesn't mean I have to become a fake person with Patrick. It just means that when I know that you have these particular sensitivities and these particular values, I have to be aware of that, and I have to not offend you, do things that are going to turn you against me. So it's not like you have to make everybody like you, but you have to understand every person that you deal with and what makes them tick, and what makes them an individual. Sometimes you do have to alter yourself and how you talk to a person depending on who they are. And you're not bipolar. This is where the argument gets sidelined and is not right. You change depending on the people that you're with. That's sort of natural. That's how we are. But you're not aware of that. You're not aware of how much you are. People are complex, and we like to simplify them. So when we're dealing with someone, we think we have a snap judgment about them, that they're like this or that.
Yep.
But they're more complicated than you think. And so the more you can figure out what makes them different, what makes them an individual, the better your chances of having the ability to influence them. Influence is an important part of this book, and some people might think that that's kind of something evil, that I'm being very Machiavellian. But as I've made the point from the 48 Laws of Power, there's no worse feeling in life than the fact that you can have no influence over the people around you, that you can't influence your children or your spouse or your boss or your colleagues. We all want the ability to persuade people, to be able to move them in some direction. So there's nothing evil about that, in my opinion. Some of the most aggressive, powerful people in history had incredibly high levels of ambition, and they had to learn to control that on their rise to the top. That's how people become successful, is by their ability to channel their energy. So you have to learn self-control. You're asking me how you learn to control yourself? It's baby steps, it's little things. It's like if you're angry about something, you don't act on your anger. You wait 24 hours, 48 hours before sending that email, before yelling at someone. These are little steps you take to learn to control that. If you're highly ambitious and you show too much of it, sometimes it's good to show ambition, but you need to show a certain amount, not too much to frighten people. Well, that's what these books are about. They're being self-aware that in a certain situation, you enter an office, 30 people, and you suddenly show that you want to be like the number one person. You're going to find your path really difficult in life. But if you show that you don't have any ambition, no one will respect you. So you have to hit that proper medium.
Got it.
And you learn how to do that. You learn by your mistakes, you learn by the people you've pissed off, that you've alienated, and you learn self-control. There's no one more dangerous than a person who has no self-awareness, that can't see who they are, because that gives them license to do whatever they want and feel justified. The ability to judge people's character, maybe one of the most important chapters in the book, but one of the most important skills you can develop in life. Because think about it, you are constantly in a situation in life in which you have to decide on whether you want to associate with this person or not. You want to hire them as an employee. You want to vote for them for president. You want to marry them. You want them to be your friend. We've all been in situations where we thought somebody was a certain way, and then a year later or a few months later, we discover a whole other side to their personality, and it's not good. And we're surprised and we're disappointed, and we tend to blame them as if they were fooling us. People leave traces of who they are. You're just not picking up the signs. I say in this chapter, nobody ever does anything once. If somebody has done a bad deed, or you see them mistreating somebody else, and then they'll come back and say, oh, it just came over me. This happened once. That's not who I am. You'll believe them. You should not ever believe them. You should realize that people have patterns. When they do something bad, they probably have done it before and will do it again. So these are types of people who have certain patterns, and I want you to be able to pick them up. And we're making the distinction between strong and weak characters. A weak character can't stand any kind of criticism. They can't learn from situations. Their ego is too fragile. And a strong person can adapt and can take criticism. That fools do not show up wearing a cap and bells, and evil, destructive people don't have horns on their head. They've learned to disguise themselves. So really toxic people have learned since an early age that if they just simply display their ugly behavior, they'll turn off people. And so they learn to be charming, and they learn to be kind of seductive, and they wear a mask that disguises you from the reality. Let's say that the quality in a person is almost like a metal. There's the word tensile. If you're a strong person, you can bend a little bit. That metal, if it bends a little bit, it's actually stronger. People who are weak can't take any kind of criticism, can't look at themselves. Their ego is very fragile. They're going to wilt under any kind of challenge. In order to get through life, we have to have a degree of self-esteem. We have to think that we're worthy of certain things. We have to have a sense of inner worth. If we don't have that kind of bedrock from within, we constantly need attention and validation from other people, right? I need attention, I need to stir trouble, I need to feed my ego. I can't get it from myself, I have to get it from other people. That's a classic, what I call a deep narcissist. And that's why they cause so many problems in life. And I measure it. I say, imagine it like a water line. And here at the top is someone who's not a narcissist. Here at the middle is kind of an average person. And as you sink deeper into narcissism, you're more and more self-absorbed. You can never get up to that mid-level point where you can start thinking about other people. At the high point, you're someone who's very empathetic. You're able to get inside the mind of other people. You understand their moods, their emotions. Most of us fall at that range of maybe 60%, 50 being the middle line. We have moments of narcissism where we get self-absorbed, particularly if we have problems, and we turn inward. But then we have enough self-esteem because of our parents, because of our background, that we raise ourselves back up, and we don't keep continually sinking into that narcissism. We want to get higher, we want to get to that level where we're able to be more empathetic. A deep narcissist has sunk so far below that they can never get up to even to that halfway point. They're so self-absorbed, they're so insecure, they constantly must stir up trouble, they need to be the center of attention. If to be the center of attention means to create a great work of art, that's fine. But sometimes to be the center of attention means to mess with people, to create problems, to stir up trouble, and to be at the center of that. Once somebody is at that level, there's nothing that's going to raise them back up. That's who they are. There's nothing they can do. There's almost nothing other people can do. They are damaged goods. Perhaps cure yourself through your work, getting your attention through what you achieve rather than through what you stir up from other people. But generally, once you get that low level, there's nothing you can do because you're addicted to getting attention from other people. Every single human being that has ever lived is inside that circle. We all have that quality. And the worst type of people are those who say, oh no, it's not me. I'm not a narcissist. I'm not aggressive. I never feel envy. It's not possible. I explain why we are all narcissists, why we're all self-absorbed. It comes from the way that we are raised as children and how we need to feel validated for ourselves. So the people who claim that they're not narcissistic are generally very dangerous. There are certain people who I call envier types, who because of their childhood, they feel that they always deserve more. They're entitled to have more from people. They feel like they are privileged somehow. They're not willing to go out and do the work. They want other people to give more. Nothing's ever going to change them. It's best that you recognize them and stay away from such type. How to use your own envy. You always tend to compare yourself to people who are more powerful than you. Why don't you look down on the scale and look at people who are less powerful than you and compare yourself to them so that you can begin to appreciate what you have. You know, oh, he's got so much better parents than I do. I wish I had a mother like that. Well, look at your friend who had the worst kind of mother and feel appreciative of what you have. It wasn't that bad. So look at the other side and compare yourself to people who have it much worse than you.